All right, here we go. We're on another episode of Salient Points. This one's for April 12th, 2022. Your host, or Master of Ceremonies, Master and Commander, whatever you call it, Dalan.
Master of Arms, something
Master
like
of
that.
Arms, Carlos Macias, back at it again. Thank you guys for joining us. Make sure to like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Dalan Kirkwood from Up in the Mountains is also with us this week. Thank you for joining me, sir.
I feel like you're gonna hurt yourself one of these days.
Why? Based on what facts?
Based on the confusion that you have before and after the camera is
There's
done.
hey, and during. If you guys are listening, there's some confusion during the podcast. Also, Luis on the Wheels of Steel Mendez. Luis Wheels of Steel Mendez. Thank you for joining us, sir. All right, there we go. Dalan, are you eating on the podcast yet again? How dare you, sir? How dare you? Dalan just took a big spoonful of chicken broth, some chicken mole.
What?
Or something's going on. Hey, before I forget,
It was crumb apple pie. It's almost done.
Before I forget, I do kind of want to get like the community involved and all that. That'd be kind. I did shoot out a question on Twitter Nation, didn't get a response back. But maybe next time, maybe some other time. Then there you go with another spoonful of some food.
It's the last one. Shut up.
We do have someone on YouTube. I don't know if he's on Twitter or not. Jet. That's all it says on his profile. Jet. He does comment after. I think he's listening to it and like responding as we talk, because he'll go through different things like, oh, he just listened to that. He just listened to that. So he talks to us about the pronunciation of stuff, and also kind of like on the PlayStation Premium Spartacus stuff we talked about last week. He kind of we had a little back and forth on there. So if you guys want, go on YouTube, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Jet, thank you for listening, man. And actually, if you have a Twitter or something, throw it into your comments, and maybe you ask us a question, or maybe throw it into the YouTube comments as well, and we'll answer it next week. But let's get right into this week's big story, at least for me, kind of, sort of. I don't know if it's for you guys, but Kingdom Hearts 4 finally got a reveal. One of the first things, the internet was a buzz about it, right? One of the first things I know Kotaku wrote about was that they and their title, the headline of one of their articles was "R.I.P. Sora's big ass clown shoes," which yeah, he has like realistic looking shoes now. And other than that, we don't really have too much information. We just have kind of the brief trailer. It's about 3 or 4 minutes. And there is a report. This is from Video Games Chronicle. They said that the game is expected to be upgraded to Unreal Engine 5 for final release visuals. So the final release visuals will be, quote, several levels higher, whatever that means. I don't know about you guys, man, but looking at this trailer, I was like, this thing is super rough, or not rough, but like early. It's super early. We're like, I don't know, man. We're like 3 years away from this game actually dropping. But it looks okay. It looks clean. It looks maybe overly clean. It looks a little like realistic-ish, like they're going a little more realistic with. I don't know how realistic you can get with the big old like demon character or whatever it is, but it looks a little more realistic, which just kind of gives me a little uncanny valley feel to it. But Dalan, what about you, man? What were your thoughts on the Kingdom Hearts 4 reveal?
The very first thing I thought of was, I don't know if you remember, but when Final Fantasy 15 was first announced, there was a version of it called Final Fantasy 15 Versus. And it was set in a more realistic setting where most of the whatever was happening was supposed to take place in the city. Luna was supposed to have a much larger role in the game. And then right in the middle of all their production and what they were doing, they took a sharp turn to the left and they changed the entire way the game was actually laid out. And even though they still had the city there for like 5 minutes, most of the game took place out in the world in a car. So I'm thinking that this is going to be ending up the same way, because it's still a Square Enix and it's still the same team that made Final Fantasy 15. And I'm pretty sure they have all these expectations for themselves, and I can't even think of the word where they're thinking much larger out of the box, but that box is too big for them.
Well, I mean, it's a Kingdom Hearts game, right? The Kingdom Hearts game, and like this was shown like at the 20th anniversary of when I think the original came out in like 2002, right? So this is 20 years after the original came out, and part of it is like, that these games since the very beginning are like featured in The Little Mermaid or in Pirates of the Caribbean or The Lion King or whatever it is, right? So they haven't shown that, and that's why to me I'm thinking like this thing is still far out. This thing is still like in its infancy. Luis, what are your thoughts on that, man? Is it early? Or are you
Ambitious.
still
That's
are
the
you
word.
still hyped about it? They can be ambitious, but they can still be at the very beginning of ambitious.
Yes, I know. They're being
Okay.
they're being very ambitious with what they got going
So,
on.
Luis, what are your thoughts, man, on the reveal?
I mean, it's cool. It's interesting. It's to be expected that they developed this in Unreal. I mean, that's what they did for Final Fantasy VII, the remake. Uh, and Unreal 5 just came out, so they kind of it seems like they're probably early enough in production that they could upgrade engines, and there's less things that can break because there's not as many things in
Mm,
there. Probably like they're still probably early-ish in development.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, the art style it does resemble closer to Final Fantasy VII and what it looked like, but it has definitely taken a step back from what the original art style was. It still kind of tries to keep it a little bit,
Straddle
but it
that
does look
line,
kind
right?
of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, like interesting. So I'm interested to see what happens when we see them like thrown into Aladdin's world or whatever, like how
Yeah.
that will work or look,
Yeah.
or maybe they'll change the art style when he travels worlds
This
back to
doesn't.
the.
Live action Aladdin's world.
Well,
That's
they
what they're
they
gonna be.
have.
Live
I
action.
know. Look, there's a guy. He's kind of the Spanish video game Twitter space. Aft Asher on Twitter. What's his name? I forget what his name is. But he does the Barcade stuff. It's in Spanish language. It's pretty beautiful stuff over there. What they do at Barcade. But he was even like talking about how people were like, "Oh, it looks crazy that they're going realistic." And no, they actually did try this with Pirates of the Caribbean levels. If you guys remember that, I think it was in
Hmm.
Kingdom Hearts 2. So they already kind of tried the realistic-ish graphics, even though Sora looked a little out of place because it is still like a goofy, playful art style or whatever it is. I will say this, based on how early it looks, which it still looks okay, I think. It looks a little sterile. This is not coming out during PlayStation 5 time, right? Or it'll be at the very tail end. Or do you guys think we'll
I
see
don't
it
think
like...
it's either of those two. I
No?
think I think it'll come out in the next 2-3 years.
You think so? Okay.
I
Maybe.
mean, I
We'll see.
doubt they're gonna stop supporting the PS5 in the next 3 years.
I
Yeah.
mean, it might be at the tail end, right? We have games coming out at the very last year, right? Of these. I'm thinking we're gonna be hearing about the PS6 by the time this like actually
I don't think so.
drops. No, okay,
Yeah, I don't
all
think it's
right,
gonna be that
okay,
long. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be
okay.
sometime in the next year or two. I don't think it's gonna take like 2, 3 years. They've probably been writing all this out for quite some time, and then
They,
Unreal Engine
I
was like,
tell
"All
you,
right, let's take them in our direction."
now I agree in the Unreal Engine 5 part of it. I agree with that because it just dropped like this last week, right? They finally released Unreal Engine 5. But I disagree in that it's like a next year. I would say at the earliest we see it like 3 years, 3 to 4 years,
2 years.
3. I'd say the earliest 3 because they haven't showed any Disney World at all. They didn't show any Disney World, not even little hints of it. And it's supposed to be Disney, right? Unless they're really
Hey,
going
well,
into a different
that
direction.
depends on the direction of the story that they're taking. Obviously, yes, you want them to be able to travel to other worlds. That kind of is what really made Kingdom Hearts Kingdom Hearts. But then again, there have been other Kingdom Hearts games where they don't go too far outside of like two world. It just depends on the story that they're
They
telling.
all go to like
So
multiple worlds. Every single game has gone to at least 5 or 6 worlds.
I don't know. Did you play Kingdom Hearts 3?
That's what I'm trying to think about right now.
Oh,
But I'm pretty sure
exactly.
they went to different worlds. We'll have to count them. We'll bring him back next, or maybe Jet can tell us in the comments. Jets, let us know in the comment.
I'm pretty sure they
But
all went to multiple
you know,
worlds. I think there was like two that didn't.
the
That
other
was
thing
it.
going around, I saw that they were kind of people were mentioning online about a Star Wars crossover. Did you guys see that? Not on the like original trailer, right? But did
It
you
is
guys?
on the trailer.
It is in the trailer. Okay, see, so there we have a world, right? We have Star Wars
No,
possibility.
okay. So what everybody is basing this on is in the trailer. There's a scene like right at the beginning of the trailer where they show some really beautiful florists and they do a close up on some mushrooms and there's like a close up of a like a little river and a stream. But all the way at the top of the screen, all the way in the back, there's a little metal round boot and it looks like the bottom of one of the
There you go.
ATSTs from Star Wars. So everybody's like comparing that to what the bottom of the foot looks like for an
Okay.
ATST.
There you go. See, that's why we have you around, Dylan, for that kind of lore. Luis, you buying into this? The little boot equals Star Wars?
I don't know about the whole boot. If I were to
Yeah.
base it off that, I think it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Disney owns Star
Yeah,
Wars now,
Disney.
so of
Yeah.
course Disney's gonna try to make that part of the game somehow.
Hey, they normally try and throw like the most popular recent thing into their games now. I mean, they did Pirates of the Caribbean, obviously, which was an ugly mess in its own right. They did Tron, which was okay before that. You know what? I don't even remember what they did before that because it was big enough, and I was like, okay, that's great.
Oh, so you're saying they did
uh,
have about 5 or 6 worlds, Dalen, and they didn't show us crap
in
on this one.
in the primary titles of Kingdom Hearts, yes, they had at least like 10 worlds
Oh,
in each one.
that's what's happening here. You're talking about expanded lore. I'm not talking about 352 over two, Dale. I'm talking about the mainline titles, 1, 2, and 3 had multiple worlds.
Well, yeah. If you're talking about purely 1, 2, and 3,
Yeah.
then they have
Fucking
always had at
nobody
least 10
talking about
worlds in each of them.
352 over 56 days, man. We ain't made good math over here. Yes, those I think barely had any worlds, right? Like those barely had any like Disney.
Yeah, exactly. That was
properties.
my point.
No,
They Birth
you
by
should have said
Sleep
expanded lore.
385 over 2.
You had to bring that shit up, man. Next time, please do bring that shit up because I was like, what is he talking about? They had a shitload of worlds. Luis, you're Oh, what about so there's this Kingdom Hearts missing link in iOS Android version. That looks kind of interesting. Luis, what are your thoughts on that one? Are you kind of hyped for an iOS Android version?
And wasn't there already one, or was that a Final Fantasy game? There was an iOS
There
like.
might have been a Kingdom Hearts iOS Android related.
Uh,
I mean, I'll
Possibly.
check it out.
Oh, you're thinking of the free game that came out that was Kingdom Hearts. There was actually a free game on iOS, and it kind of looked like. Do you remember the art for Chris Tales and what is that other game? Odin Sphere. It was like art like that.
I don't know
What
either
did
of
you
those
think
two
of
Yeah,
games.
this? Luis? What
you
did
don't
you
know
think?
Odin Sphere?
Did you?
Odin Sphere was big.
I mean,
I'm
I'll
surprised.
check it out. I'll check out the if it's free or whatever. If it's $5, sure, I'll check it out. See
Odin
if it's a
Sphere,
game I can
not
play
free,
on the
not
on
$5.
We're talking about Kingdom Hearts missing link, Dalen. Dalen, get on board,
Yeah,
please.
get on the same page,
Come on,
dude.
Dale, get on the same page. What are
No,
we doing
but
here?
Kingdom Hearts Missing Link is definitely a newer thing that they're doing, obviously. But they're going very 3D with it. Part of it, like the overworld that they showed for it, reminded me of Pokemon. What was the one that people walk around with on their phone? Pokemon Go. It reminds me of
Yeah.
Pokemon Go, the way it's walking around the
Yeah.
world. Then it gets into actual battles, and then you actually have to run around in a nice little area
like
and actually fight things.
it does look like another 352 over 65 days or whatever, sort of,
Kind of.
right? But the combat looks like it's kind of fully realized, even though they didn't put up the menu, right? They don't put up the attacks and the defense. So I wonder if it's sort of like an auto battle type of game. I guess we'll find out, once we
I would hate that instantly.
Yes, but I mean you're on a touch device, Dalen. It's but it looks cool. It looks like it looks kind of like a nice 3D.
If they could put Street Fighter 4 on the phone, I think they could make a good Kingdom Hearts game on the phone. I mean, they have that Final Fantasy, what was it, First Soldier game out now.
Mhm.
They have pretty much a first-person shooter on the phone. Battlefront or
Doesn't
what was
mean
it?
it's good though. Doesn't mean the
Battlegrounds.
control scheme is good. Like when you're on a touch device, man, the simpler the better, dude. I know you're Dalen. You want all the buttons all over the screen and all that, but what the opacity is that the word? The opacity fully. You don't want to see none of the action on the screen. But I would like a simple if it's on touch controls, I expect it to be simplified because you don't have buttons. And I've been realizing this playing Chrono Trigger, which doesn't require that many buttons. And I'm like, some of this it's really shitty and I don't really need that many buttons. And the fact that I'm playing on touch screen or whatever, right? But I'll talk about that a little bit more towards what you've been playing. The other thing we have that they kind of that this kind of points to is that we actually might be getting the Final Fantasy IX remake. I don't know if too many people have been asking for it. That's one of the better Final Fantasies, right, Dalen? That kind of could use a remake. A little
It was
Final
underrated
Fantasy.
Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people that wouldn't go towards it simply because of the art style that they went with.
Yeah. So if we got a remake, it'd be kind of if we got like a 7 style remake, that'd be kind of nice, right?
That would be excellent. But I'm still thinking, all right, we got a 7 style remake. Why can't we just go in order? Why can't you just make Final Fantasy VIII remake?
So now the reason that there's kind of like some credence. Anytime I see the credence word or that I'm gonna use it, I always think Credence Clearwater Revival, a little CCR. But that's just me. So the reason that people are thinking that the remake might be closer is because Kingdom Hearts 4 was actually part of the GeForce Now database leak. We might have talked about it actually in one of the episodes last year in 2021. And part of that database leak included that there would be a Final Fantasy 9 remake along with like Kingdom Hearts 4 and several other things that have come to fruition that they do actually exist. So we might be getting a Final Fantasy 9 remake, Dylan. We might be getting one. 8? Ain't nobody want a gun sword, man. And ain't nobody messing with that. Come on, what are we doing here? Ain't nobody.
How you just gonna throw me out like that?
Nobody wants a gun sword. I mean,
hey, when Leon was in Kingdom Hearts, everybody was like, "All right, why can't we get a Final Fantasy that looks like this?"
Well, we can't, man, and it's not part of the database.
The hate you bring.
So, the next thing, this was for Luis. I think he's kind of a little hyped about it because he never see. I'm the one on the phone chats that I'm throwing all kinds of crap, all kinds of news links and stuff. Luis never does. So the fact that he was Max Payne 1 and 2 remake is announced, I was like, okay, I think he's a little hyped about this. So Max Payne 1 and 2 remake has been announced. It's coming for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, also the speaker, as DJ Khaled calls the Xbox Series S, PC, and it's going to be using the same game engine that they use for Quantum Break and Control, and it's made by the original creators themselves, Remedy, because, correct me if I'm wrong here, Luis, but Max Payne 3 wasn't made by Remedy, right? It was like someone else, but still Rockstar Games published.
Yeah, all I really know is Rockstar. I don't know about what other dev.
But even though Max Payne 3, man, I think I really like that one. I like the kind of the noir goofiness of 1 and 2. 2, it was getting a little more serious, and then 3 was like kind of ultra realistic, right? Max Payne 3 was like the GTA 4 of the Max Payne series, where they're like, let's bring it down. You're not gonna fly nowhere. You don't have jetpacks. You don't got all this other crap. Let's ground it. But I really enjoyed Max Payne 3. But Luis, what are your thoughts on this, man? That we're getting a 1 and 2 remake. Is it long overdue?
I think so. I would have just expected them to, unless this is them priming up, sort of gauging excitement for if they were to make a new one. I don't know, because I don't think like 1 and 2. I don't think they were like super popular. Like they were around, and obviously they made 3 of them, but I don't think it's like.
Yeah, I don't think.
Max Payne 1 was super popular. I can tell you that right now. When Max Payne 1 dropped and it was doing slow motion, that was all I heard.
Yeah, bullet dodge. Yeah, no, but I mean, I think Max Payne had
popular enough to like remake after what 15, 20 years.
It's been a while, dude. It's been a while because I think, and I was gonna say, Dylan, I think what probably made Max Payne 1 popular was I think it came so close after the launch of PS2. So when these consoles launch, right? If you have the benefit of like if you drop day one, is like I want games. Like let me buy all these games, right? So I think if anything, Max Payne 1 could have been deemed a success even just by that, right? By the fact that I think it was close to launch. Maybe not day one with PlayStation 2, but at least like within 6 months, within a year.
You said it was one of the early titles.
It was an early title, but I don't think 2 did that well. And I think maybe that's why it took them so long to make 3. And then 3 probably didn't blow up as much as they wanted. So maybe it is one of those things, right? Like Luis was saying, that it's kind of like, let's gauge some interest. But it's a little weird, though, because Remedy is off doing their own thing now, right? I mean, so maybe I think maybe it is like, look, let's make this. If people really, want to, it's maybe a little easier to remake something, right, in a sense. And then like, fuck it, let's do Max Payne 3. Maybe Rockstar has been hounding these guys to make a new Max Payne. They're like, nah. It's like, hold on, we'll give you some cash to remake your old stuff. It's like, yeah, we'll take the cash. We got this quantum break. We got this quantum break and control shit that which is probably doing all right. Anything else, Luis, on that before we move on to some quote unquote
just
quick
adding
takes?
a note to the remake part. The easier, I mean, I guess it's easier in the sense that depending on how much they like revamp it or whatever.
True.
But at least they have a story, right? They have 2 stories that they can go off of, so they don't have to like write something new.
Yeah.
So at the very least with that, but who knows how far they'll take the visuals.
Well,
and everything
it's
else.
like like Final Fantasy 7. We've been waiting for that shit for. It's gonna be 15 years probably before we see part 2 and 3 fully completed, right? But they decided to like, no, take everything out. We're gonna like remake this thing. We're gonna rebuild it. So yes, it depends. But at least they got the story, right? That I'm sure the writer like spent 3 weeks on the can just writing it, and he's like, here's the story. Here's the story, just like Resident Evil 4, Dalan.
I remember. Don't worry.
And I think, you know what, to be honest, Max Payne 1 was kind of like really campy, right? They even used, I think the guy that the face that they used was like one of the developers too. I don't know if he was like the director of the game or something like that. But they're like, yeah, we don't need an actor. Just come on through. This is before the Nolan Norths, though, right? This is before the Nolan Norths. The who's the other guy that plays with Uncharted?
Troy Baker.
Yeah, this is pre these guys, right? That we kind of know these guys. We see them in the Uncharted movie and all that other stuff. So they were like, bring the director on. We'll just kind of scan his face in here, and he'll be the face of the game. And we'll be good. So we'll move on to quick takes here. Real quick, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the movie, earned $71 million, which means it's the biggest opening weekend for a video game adaptation. And I think Sonic 1 also kind of held that sort of record. So this thing is kind of adding on to like the Sonic legacy, which is kind of cool because the games have kind of been up and down right over the years. I think if you go to the original games, they're still pretty good. They hold up for the most part, but Sonic Adventure and then 1, and then there's an R, and then there's Sonic Fighting, and there's all kind of crap going on in the Sonic legacy. So it's kind of nice that at least in the video game space, it holds that much reverence that people go out and watch it. I still haven't watched it. I plan to watch it over the weekend, but I still haven't watched it. So
I also plan on watching it over the weekend. That's the main thing. I plan on watching it over the weekend. As soon as the original trailer for Sonic 2 dropped, I was super excited, especially knowing that Idris Elba is going to be doing he's doing the voice of Knuckles. Yeah. That was a huge thing just right off the bat. And then just watching the trailer and comparing it to what the original games were, I feel like they're doing the story justice. Even though it's mainly held in our world rather than in the world that Sonic is placed in. I know that they're kind of bouncing back and forth, but they got portals and stuff. They actually have explanations for why this is happening. So it's cool to me. I mean, I'm down.
It's a kid's movie, man. Let's just be honest.
It's a kid's movie, but it's also nostalgia that's hitting me really hard, and they actually make it funny.
And I think the fact that is that big of a release, I think, because my daughter did go see it with her friends, so she's not really a Sonic. She just played Sonic 2 the other day. I busted out the Genesis. I was like, you know what? You've never played Sonic 2, right? And she was going to plan on watching it without having played the game, which is not a prerequisite, right, to watch the movie, but it's like across generations, people are like Sonic. He's a cool enough character, right, that he's kind of blow up the box office here. And they've been all right. They've been decent movies, right, for a kid's movie, Dalan. Luis, your thoughts on how kind of the reception of Sonic to the movie?
Yeah, kind of a little unexpected, I guess. Kind of surprising. It's the highest grossing opening night for any video game adaptation. I guess that's kind of cool. I over the weekend I saw my nephew for his birthday, and he's a huge Sonic fan. So like everyone at the party like everything was a Sonic present.
Okay.
And his brother was kind of like the whole time I was there, he was talking to like, have you seen? You have to see Sonic. You have to watch Sonic 2. It's so good. And he's like, he basically told me the whole story. Like he wouldn't stop talking about it. But
spoilers,
yeah, it's cool.
Man. Spoilers.
Yeah, I don't mind too much spoiler with Sonic 2. Whatever, it's fine.
From what I understand, it kind of holds closely to the video games. Whatever that story was, trust me, I just played Sonic 2, and I was like,
whatever that story was.
What thread of a story is this? I don't understand. I mean, it's cool. I like the levels, right? But let's not act like it's this whole epic, right?
No. Most of the story is actually at the end of the games. So unless you beat it, you don't really get the story.
So at least as far as what you got, the spoiler-filled tirade, apparently, it's.
I mean, I was always planning on watching it. I probably won't go out of my way to watch it in theaters. I'll get it when it's on video on demand. But I mean, got to check out Jim Carrey in his last role of all time. So.
Apparently, and they're over here talking about they won't recast him because Jim Carrey's over here like, I'm retiring, and they're like, we won't recast him. Like, well, what the fuck are you gonna do then? You have to. If Eggman is retiring, what do you mean you're not gonna recast him? So I don't know.
They'll probably end up using other Sonic bosses, but
that's like I mean, who else they gonna?
Yeah, he's like the main guy. He is the guy. But main question I got for you guys. Because even though Sonic 2 and just Sonic in general is doing great in the theaters, do you think the Super Mario movie, when that drops by Illumination, is going to do any better?
They better put some previews out, and if the fans are like, this looks goofy as hell, like with Sonic 1, they better listen. Usually I'm against listening to the fans because they're a bunch of like entitled beanches out there, right? Like, but they were right on the Sonic one. On the Sonic one, they were right. They needed to go back to the drawing board, sort of, and kind of clean his
just for the style of Sonic himself.
Yeah, so they better put some previews out there, like pre-production before they finalize anything and be like, okay, let's put something out there and get some.
Let's get a focus group up.
Yeah. Because it worked out. It worked out for Sonic, right? It obviously worked out for them. Luis,
They had no choice.
Luis, what do you think about that? What do you think about Dalen's Quarry?
I mean, it's hard to tell right now. We don't know anything about this movie. We don't know what it looks like. We don't know what it's going to sound like or feel like or whatever. So we can't really.
Yeah,
say
just
much
that it's
about
Chris Pratt, right? Basically, he's the voice, I guess.
Yeah.
That's about
Hey,
it.
but the original voice of Mario is going to be somewhere in it. They did announce that.
There you go. So the next thing we have on here, this is a little tidbit I did not know. I was not aware of this because you just assume these kind of things. But so there was Eden Marie. She's an engineering lead at Xbox. She did mention to the world on Twitter over the last few days that Xbox 360 and OG Xbox games grant you full ownership regardless of like what your gold status is. And she did put out a quote on Twitter saying, quote, "Granting full ownership of 360 OG games is a quirk of games with gold originating on Xbox 360, which didn't and doesn't support subscription-based licenses. In this way, games with gold continues to accrue value for folks who still play on Xbox 360. And I think on a follow-up tweet, she was talking about like, oh, our bad. The fact that we can't tell if you own this or not is actually like it's to your benefit that so apparently if you don't have gold status, kind of like with PlayStation and I guess with newer Xbox games, if you don't have an active subscription, you can't play these games. But that's not the case with 360 and OG Xbox games. If at some point you downloaded them, and even if you let your Xbox Gold lapse, you still own them. And I wasn't aware. I always just assumed that I had to keep it active to play these games. So now it kind of, it's just an interesting little tidbit. Even though Game Pass, I mean, I don't know when I get rid of Game Pass Ultimate at this point, dude. It's the best deal. It's the best deal in gaming. And we are taking money from you, Microsoft, if you wish to give us a little advertisement. Luis, what are your
You're gonna get demonetized.
What are your thoughts? Demonetized? We need to get monetized, man.
Yeah, I know.
Luis, what are your thoughts on this, man? Did you know about this? Did you know that you even?
I did not, but I was also under the impression that I guess it was just an assumption everyone made, like, oh, I have to keep paying for Xbox Live because then I will lose this game.
No.
So that is kind of interesting that years later they're still churning out titles and they're like, there goes another $30 or whatever, like every month.
Yeah. Because I want to play Castle Crashers or whatever the case might be. Because that's a 360 game. I hope you didn't have to activate. I know you just played Castle Crashers recently, right, Dalan? I hope you guys weren't activating your gold thinking that you needed gold activated for that game. Someone owned that.
Played it on the PS4. So, yeah, the homie actually already owned a copy of it, put his account on my PlayStation, and we just played it.
Oh, there you go. Do you have any thoughts on this, Dalan? Or is it interesting for you?
It is the one time where I could say you didn't rent it, you bought it.
True, right? True. Like you actually the one
you actually bought it.
Yeah, the very first time I hear about this, right? Because otherwise you're renting these things. You're renting licenses, boys and girls. The next thing on here, we do have this an interesting quirk, and this is another digital bonus apparently. But Advance Wars, the Switch remake, did unlock for someone that preloaded or pre-ordered the game digitally, but they never updated the Switch like hardware, or they never connected it back to the internet, basically. But they preloaded.
They didn't want to lose that access.
No, but I don't think they knew that. Well, I mean, now they come out into the world. You can say whatever you want, right? But apparently they didn't connect it to the internet, and the game unlocked for them. So somewhere out there right now is playing Advance Wars, which, of course, as we remember, I don't know if it was last podcast or 2 podcasts ago or whenever it was, but there's this thing going on in Ukraine. There's like a little war going on. So Nintendo was like, let's not drop this quite yet. And we don't have a release date for this game right now. We don't. So the fact that it's ready to go, it's out the door, and someone was like, I have not connected to the internet, but I have access to this. So this is one of those rare times, right, where digital ownership is like, oh damn, it worked out for someone. Luis, your thoughts on this?
Well, that was actually more my comment. I was going to ask, wasn't this the game that they like, let's not release it yet because there's this whole kerfuffle going on in Ukraine right now?
Yeah, there's stuff going on. But someone has it. Someone has it out there, and people are asking for like, pictures and video and stuff like that. So I would think they'd want to keep it low key, right? Just in case Nintendo,
Sell the Switch.
yeah, sell the Switch.
That
Oh,
was,
that's right. Beat the game, sell whatever, and it's like I am selling this thing. We don't know when this will release because we don't know when war will end. I don't know if you guys know, but war never ends. I don't know if you guys know that, but yeah,
Solid
it's
Snake's
kind of
on
an
it.
interesting. It's
I was gonna be like, war has changed. You can
War
just
has
start
changed.
quoting Solid Snake right now.
War has changed. Hey, can love bloom in the battlefield though, Dalan? Can love truly bloom in the those kids were so stupid, dude. Like they were stupid, but they were nice though. Like at the
They were
same time.
outrageous, kind of like Yakuza. It's just as
Okay.
outrageous.
Damn, dude. I think Hideo has him like beat, dude. He has every single one of the Yakuza games beat. As wacky as the Yakuza games get, nothing beats Metal Gear Solid, dude. But
it's a delicious bite of stupidity and craziness.
yeah, so Advance Wars is, yeah, I would assume, I would hope this guy doesn't try to connect to the internet by mistake, or Nintendo goes over his house with like a Wi-Fi connector and stuff. It's like, no, we will take his access away. The other thing we have on here is that apparently Eidos Montreal has no regrets over Guardians of the Galaxy sales, and they're actually saying that it's finding its audience, especially now that it's on Xbox Game Pass. This is one of the games that I think they were kind of saying like it underperformed, blah blah blah, and I think they were like, you know what, maybe we should take these comments back. Dalan, what are your thoughts on this, man? Are they doing some what do you call it? Community
Damage control.
Damage control, exactly.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like damage control because their trailers that they had out were a little misleading to a lot of people because everybody, or at least a lot of people, looked at Guardians of the Galaxy, didn't look too closely at the trailers, and just said, "Ooh, an action-packed Guardians of the Galaxy game." Then they play it and they're like, "Wait, this is an RPG? Why is it an RPG? I'm sad." People would walk away from it.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of looking at the Avengers. I don't think this is as bad as the Avengers, obviously. But at this point, people are like, we need to just hand this out and see who bites. That way, the audience who deserves it can actually try it and then enjoy it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the value of Game Pass, right? It's like, oh, you know what? Because you probably can come into it, I'm just going to try it out, right? No expectations. You didn't have to buy it. And you're like, this is what it is. And apparently Guardians of the Galaxy is a pretty damn good game. And I think
it is, but it wasn't dropped on Game Pass day one. Yeah. So they still made some money. They figured out, oh, wait, this isn't working. Then they moved it to Game Pass. I think that's a smarter move.
Well, as we talked about it on the podcast as well, like Microsoft was like, we're going to give you $5-10 million. It's just sitting there. You guys ain't doing shit with this. You ain't selling it. So $5-10 million, just take it and put it on Game Pass, right? Luis, your thoughts, man, or is that it? Like damage control that they're doing over here?
I guess. I mean, I didn't really honestly ever get that perception that they were they like dissed gamers or whatever. I never really thought that. Yeah. I don't know if like the game not being what people expected contributed to the low sales, because you have to buy the game and try it out to know that it's not what you wanted, right? If you didn't like do your research. Yeah. But all I've heard about this game from people that have played it is that they really liked it, and it's been sitting on my bookshelf. Like I already bought it a while ago.
It's just sitting. I'm looking right at it. I could turn around.
There's a stack literally this big of just games that I haven't played.
I have that game
in plastic.
I have that game lying around too, dude. Guardians of the Galaxy is definitely on a stack also. But
I also have that game on Game Pass.
You saying like dissing gamers? I don't know how Dalan kind of put it together, but
they misled some of their some of their audience.
Well, I think part of it
they portrayed their previews.
Well, I think part of it, maybe the advertising could have been like, "Oh, this is a huge action game," and it's like, "Wait, this is like an RPG, right?"
They didn't. Even though there was like a 20-minute video that straight up showed that, people weren't watching the 20-minute video. They were like, "Let me watch this 3.5-minute trailer." Oh, okay, that looks cool.
Part of it,
I don't need all that gameplay.
Well, part of it, I think maybe it also, didn't have the main guy, right? It didn't have Chris Pratt, and I don't know how many actual voices they had from like the TV movie series, right? Like, but this was a completely different. Who's the main guy? I don't know who the main guy is.
Star-Lord.
Star-Lord. See, so it's a different Star-Lord, right? It's not Chris Pratt that you're seeing in the game. So I think that kind of plays into it a little bit too, right? Where they're like,
it's a lot of money, man. I know, because when I worked on Passengers, we at one point had to hire him to do some voice lines. That session was expensive for like a short little script that we had for him. So we're like, damn.
It was like All I
Well,
need to
no,
do is say the word yes. Yes.
no, and I'm not doubting that it's expensive to get these guys in back into a booth, whatever.
Oh, I'm
I'm
just
sure it is.
saying that's why they
Yeah,
probably didn't
yeah,
hire Chris Pratt for this. They're like,
yeah,
that's like half our budget to just
yeah.
get this guy's voice in here.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. But and this guy's kind of commanding a lot, right? His fee is probably high up
hmm
there. But at the same time, that's the thing, right? You don't really know, right? Like we're gonna spend so much money to get this guy's voice, and it might still not sell, right? But at the same
hmm
time, did it not sell because he wasn't in it?
mm
I don't know.
You mean
I
like
don't
with
know.
Mark Hamill, and we're not doing it again?
Yeah. Oh, with Yakuza one.
You're very upset by
you
that.
guys, where's to put the camera on me, Dalan? You guys fucked up not buying Yakuza 1, all right? That could have been beautifully voiced by Luke Skywalker himself, but no, you guys decided not to buy it, so now we just have subtitles. Deal with it. The next thing on here is that we have a new Tomb Raider game is apparently in development by Crystal Dynamics, and they described it as a quote cinematic action adventure experience end quote. Which I'm like, all these games have been cinematic action adventures, so that doesn't give a shit. But they're working on a new Tomb Raider. A couple little wrinkles here. The Days Gone director Jeff Ross is added as a design director, and I don't know if you guys remember, but he was kind of like, there was this whole weird thing after Days Gone came out. He was the one that was like, they didn't want to do Days Gone 2. We sold just as well as Ghost of Tsushima. I think we might have mentioned it on the podcast, right? But he's like, why are they giving Ghost of Tsushima that gets green lit and Days Gone sold just as well and all this other stuff, right? And so Jeff Ross is a design director on this new game. If you like Days Gone, I'm sure it's gonna have maybe kind of bring over some of those vibes, right, of that game. The other thing is that they're actually going to be using Unreal Engine instead of the in-house engine they use like with Avengers and with other Tomb Raider games. This is from Steven Totillo. He said that they're not using an in-engine. Everyone's going to Unreal. Luis, real quick before we get to what other thoughts you have on this, is the Unreal Engine, the new one, really that like nice? Is it going to be that nice that people are
I
like, let's just
personally haven't used it myself, but from what I've seen, it does look pretty nice. Though it is kind of interesting to see a lot of devs jumping from in-house engines to just Unreal, because the whole idea was that you would use your own engine because you could make it do specifically the things that you wanted it to
Yeah.
do. So I'm just wondering if like if either the benefits of having Unreal 5 outweigh the cost of that, or if they just don't like need those custom things anymore because Unreal already gives them access to it.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah,
we'll
that's
be
kind of it.
seeing them kind of take
Her
advantage
demo
of
was
that,
a
right?
huge plus for everybody in all these companies. That demo that dropped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for the Unreal.
Carlos, you don't even know what demo I'm talking about, do you?
It's all right, dude. It's all right.
It was the Matrix demo. It was like a 20-minute demo.
So yes, I
Yeah.
do know. I do know the demo.
Yeah, but you're like, what are you talking about? That's what I'm talking about.
So anything else on this, Luis, or that was just the main thing? That is like the fact that they're kind of moving on to this other.
No. That was the question you asked me. My thought was like every time they make a new Tomb Raider, I always think like I thought the last one was the last one. Like where's the new IP?
Dawn of the Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. The Tomb Raider is lost in the shadows. What's happening?
And then the same thing that you said with like the description of like it's gonna be a cinematic experience, an action adventure experience. Like, isn't that what they all were? Like, what do you mean? So
a cinematic interactive experience.
What are you guys doing?
Hey, it was basically Uncharted female.
Reasonable.
Well, it's actually the other way around. But.
I know.
I like kind of my daughter plays these games. Her favorite series is Uncharted, basically. And then when she plays Tomb Raider, like I put her to play the Tomb Raider games, I'm like, oh, this is girl Uncharted. But yes, it is the other way around, right? It is, and it's very convoluted because I also called Uncharted, was it Lost Legacy? I call that girl Uncharted.
Girl
so
Uncharted.
Now there's two girl Uncharted. So she's like confused now. Which one is it? But yeah, this Tomb Raider thing, we'll see, right? We'll see what comes of it. Dalan?
I'm just gonna say Tomb Raider should have bit off the Uncharted engine, like that whole sandbox thing. So if it wasn't for the sandbox that Uncharted made, we wouldn't have a good Tomb Raider again, because they were definitely going in the wrong direction with whatever they made on Xbox 360.
Yeah, I mean, Uncharted was definitely a whole shift in the industry, right? Like, where it's like,
yeah,
and you know, which was first? Was it Uncharted or Gears? Because Gears and Uncharted kind of changed the idea of a third person character type of game, right? Like they were like, oh, these games can actually be good and control really damn well, right? Like I don't know if I think it might have been around the same time, right? They might have both dropped
Yeah.
in 06 or Uncharted 07 possibly. But I know Gears was 06, so
No,
these games
Uncharted
definitely...
was a release title on PS3, if I remember correctly.
I guess
So
Dalan I think might be looking it up, but I think it was like a
I am.
07.
Gears of War was 2006, and I will
Uncharted.
help you out in just a moment.
Dalan, we're live. We're doing it
Yes,
live.
I know we're like you've done this to yourself.
Yeah.
No, Uncharted 1 was 2016.
Oh, what the... Dalan, you're doing something wrong, dude.
Oh no,
You're doing something
that was a
very
weird
incorrect.
thing. I'm sorry.
You're doing that to yourself.
I
You're
did
doing
not
that
type
to
in
yourself.
Drake's Fortune. It was 2007. I'm sorry.
See, boom! Congratulations to me. But anyway, so the next thing on here, this is kind of related. So Epic Games gets... So people must believe in the Unreal Engine this hard, right? That Epic Games gets another $2 billion in investment, $1 billion from Sony, and $1 billion from the Lego Group. I gotta read this a little closely. From the Lego Group, or the Lego like subsidiary or whatever. But yeah, they've infused Epic Games with another $2 billion. So people are believing in this engine. Maybe that's why they're jumping ship, Luis, right? They're looking at this thing and they're like, yes, this is the future. I did see, what was it? Someone was making fun of a template that's like creepy bathroom or something like that. So I'm assuming the Unreal Engine 5 gives you like a complete bathroom setting, creepy bathroom setting or something like that. Or
they made those tiles shiny.
What does this mean, Luis? That the fact that Sony and you know, this Lego Group, I didn't even know it existed before I read this, that they're kind of like, let's throw in some investment funds Epic's way.
Well, this is specifically them supporting their metaverse efforts. So they're throwing this money at them to support their like continued growth on their like metaverse business proposal or movement or whatever. They're trying to move them forward in that direction, I guess. So not necessarily them like specifically Sony, like, we like your engine, let's support your engine. Like,
gotcha.
that's not what it is. I have no idea what Lego and Sony and Epic are gonna do, but I'm assuming something like a Roblox style metaverse thingy.
Yeah,
So,
or a Minecraft-ish type of thing too, right? They could maybe do,
could be.
you know, Minecraft world or something.
Or a
like that.
Fortnite crossover, because they love doing that.
Oh, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of money being thrown around.
Fortnite, everything.
There's a lot of money being thrown around here.
I saw a picture of Aloy in Fortnite. So,
Dalan, what are your thoughts on this here, man? That Sony and the Lego Group are like, here's some money, Epic Games.
Well, obviously they're big corporate. Well, I know Sony's a big corporation. Like you said about Lego Group, I was like, I don't even know who that is. But Lego by themselves, they're a big company just all together. It's like looking at Pokemon. You know, they're just huge and they could dip into whatever they want to. And if they want to dip in the metaverse, let them dip in the metaverse. I guess that's their choice.
There you go. Luis, anything else on that one before we move on to our next story?
Nope.
So the next one we have is Housemarque Boss is hopeful that Returnal will find a new audience on PlayStation Plus, and this was Housemarque Managing Director Ilari Kutanen. This is a quote from, well, this is a story on Eurogamer. They said, as you know, it's been a while since release, and we know the people who get into subscriptions play a lot. He said he's hopeful players will dare to try the game. There's no hidden cost if you like. It's easy to get into, he said. And I'm like, the first thing I already got to push back. There's definitely a cost, right? There's definitely like PlayStation Plus cost. And now it's like a whole tier system. So no, sir.
So now there's even more of a cost.
And it's all convoluted. I don't know which tier, which I'm assuming it's going to be the $120 freaking tier of PlayStation Plus Premium, that I'm going to try Returnal for $120. Maybe I will never try Returnal again. Maybe I will never play it again. So I will not dare to try. But Dalan, go ahead, man. What are your thoughts on this here?
Well, for it, that was essentially the same thing I was saying. I was like, do I care that much about Returnal to really go into the PlayStation Plus aspect for it? I already have a hard enough time playing it not on PlayStation Plus. I mean, I could have probably went to your house and played it some more, but I was like, I don't care enough to actually do that. And they finally dropped the. You don't even have it.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing I didn't go over to your house and try and play it. That's another thing. We just don't have it. Do we want it? No, not really. Yeah. But it came out with co-op. Do I want to try it? Yes. But you're right, not for $120. Not even for $60, because I might as well just buy the game.
They need to give it to us on the tier we're already paying for, right? That we
Hey,
get
at
deals on
least
or whatever.
do they have a 1 hour free trial of that game? Because the game itself, one of the reasons why I have a hard time buying it is simply because of how time consuming it is. Don't get me wrong. I know, Luis, you actually enjoyed the game. It's probably a really good game if you take the time to play the game. But a lot of people, especially in our age bracket, do not have that time.
Agebracket.com. Luis, your thoughts, man, on the house.
Well, I guess for starters, since it's fresh, a 1 hour title is gonna make no one want to buy that game because that's not enough time to try it out. That's not nearly enough time as you need.
Whatever, you know what I'm
And
talking
then
about, those
two,
free trials.
and then Jonathan and I were supposed to co-op it, and then moment of silence for his child is on
PS5,
life support, so he
PlayStation
had to
5.
send it back into the factory to get fixed. So I guess,
We
well,
should
yeah,
probably
once he gets
specify
the,
we're talking about his system.
Yeah, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 5, because it's like,
I
wait,
mean, I would
his
assume people
child.
could draw that connection, but
Yeah, I don't think so.
I threw it
well,
in
we're
there,
saying
dude.
he
I don't know
sent
if
it
you
in
heard
to
it, but I
get
threw it in
fixed.
there. Yeah.
I heard you.
So yeah, we were supposed to like play it day one, but so I'm sure we'll get to it at some point. Do the co-op there. It was a fun game. I don't know if it'll be like the title that people see when the tiers all get released. If that, I don't think that will sell subscriptions. But if it's like that game amongst like maybe two or three other ones, then
Yeah.
maybe people will kind of take a shot at it, you know. And I think it is worth people's time to at least see if you enjoy it. You know, play
Yeah.
it for a good 3 4 hours and see if you want to kind of try to finish it. I do like the smoke that he threw. That he's hopeful players will dare to try the game.
That
So,
try,
you know,
keyword try.
dare to
Dare
try
to
is the
try.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. That's a hard pass for me. It's a hard pass
mm,
for me,
Don't,
bro.
don't do
But
drugs.
don't do drugs. Don't do dare to try. The next thing we have on here is a former PlayStation US boss, Jack Tretton. He says wishes that they had thrown more support behind Vita. He said, "quote We orphaned it a little bit." End quote. Or it got orphaned a little bit by the corporation. And this is a quote from Axios. Quote, "There were certainly technologies that I thought were good, but just didn't have the level of support they needed." End quote. And my thoughts to that is like, no shit, man. Vita was incredible. Like it's upsetting, but you gotta understand I really like the fact that 20 years later he's coming out and saying this shit. He could have done something about it then when he was in charge of that division or whatever. But you understand the realities, right? Like we understand why the Dreamcast needed to die, right? We understand why that thing, like after about a year and a half, they needed to put it out to pasture. And the Vita survived a little longer than the Dreamcast at the very least. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what you want us to do about it now, Jack Trent. Dalan already tried to trade in his Vita at a GameStop for $20 and a pack of lint or whatever you had in your
pack of
pocket,
gum, some bazooka gum.
and a piece of bazooka gun. So what do we do now?
Now PlayStation just needs to make a new handheld.
Yeah, I think that ship is
That's what they
sailed,
need
man.
to do.
I
No,
think
it
I
has
think
not
they
sailed.
will.
it's
I don't.
sailed.
Well, they probably won't anytime soon, but it hasn't sailed. I mean, they have the Steam Deck
That's
that's
why.
dropped. Well,
There's
there's
more
the Steam
competition
Deck.
now. You
Yeah.
got the Switch, you got the Steam Deck, them throwing the
Yeah, a
Vita
Vita 2
Life
in
2,
there.
whatever coming
So
out.
at the same time, they had I guess it was the 3DS that was out at the time, and that was a monster all by itself. But they still dropped the Vita, and it did fine.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it
I
didn't.
don't think that
Dalen.
worked out,
I
Dalen.
don't think it did work out. We're
Well,
talking about it
it could
now,
have
dude.
done fine if they put more effort into it. That was my point. And I'm sure if they tried again, they could actually do something
Dude, they
successful.
they initially they put a lot of effort. That Uncharted game on Vita, if you guys haven't played it, is actually pretty damn
That was
decent.
fun. It was good.
Killzone Mercenary was actually pretty decent. But then they shit the bed with like Resistance. That game was crap. And then the Call of Duty game Declassified, that game was crap. So and there was like initially like in the first year of Vita, they were doing everything, dude. They had Gravity Rush was incredible. Like I love Gravity Rush. There's a whole bunch of they put a good effort in, man. They put a good effort. It just didn't work out, and I definitely think that ship has sailed, Dalan. I mean, I think the Steam the way the portables work now, and Steam is still kind of like a smaller user base too, and it's selling out, so all you get is positive buzz because there's just not that many out there, right? So it's kind of like, and it's very niche in a way. So they're like, yeah, of course, we weren't even really, this is what we were doing. Valve didn't have high expectations necessarily. And then the Switch is a portable console, right? The only way I could see PlayStation doing something like this if their next PS6 are like, it's a PlayStation 6 and it's dockable and you could take it with you. That's the only way, possibly. But even then, it's a
Hey,
little rough.
I'd be fine with something like that. Maybe just not call it PS6. That way you could have room to be able to make a PS6. Because at the same time, I also don't want them to have the same weird failure that the Wii U had.
Or the Vita, right? But Luis, what are your?
Or the Vita.
Luis,
Let's be more specific.
Luis, what do you think, man? What do you think about Jack Trenton years later talking about?
I mean, I guess he's had a lot of time to think about it at this point, so maybe he just feels like he's gotta say something because he never
rattle it around in his head. That's what was happening.
But yeah, I never owned a Vita, and I only kind of got to try it here and there because a friend of mine owned one, and I did like play a bit of the Uncharted game when we were at his house, but like I never got to have a good time with it. What's up with your mouth, Dalan?
I know. What's going on over here, Dylan? You doing subtitles, or you doing like you doing the voicing for Luis over here? What's going on over here?
Just acting stupid. Don't worry.
Now, Luis, I do happen. So I did say Dylan he tried to give up his Vita for $20 and whatever he had in his pocket, or that's what they wanted to give him for it at GameStop. I was like, Dalan, just give it to me, man. I'll sell it to me. So I do have an extra Vita, Luis, and if you want to get down with the Uncharted, at least I have some other games. Killzone Mercenary is another good one, and Unit 13, I believe that's another nice game. If you like, I can kind of drop that off at some point for you. But that's after the podcast. Anything else on that, Luis?
No.
Okay. The next thing we have on here is we actually have a quote from Steven Totillo. This is a quote from him, but it of course got reported on by different people. And on his Steven Totillo's tweet, he said, Activision says it is converting all U.S.-based temp and contingent QA workers to full-time roles, 1,100 total, starting July 1st, and minimum hourly rate is raised to $20 an hour. The world we live in, $20 doesn't get you too far, so it's still 20 is not too much. I think you can go forklift and do all kinds of other jobs and that are not necessarily hard to get into, and you get paid more. But I guess it's a good move, I suppose, right? At least you got a little bit of insight or kind of like what are your thoughts here on this?
Well, it will especially not be enough if they're forcing employers to go back into the office, because Orange County, I don't think you could get far with $20 an hour in Orange County over there. But I guess it's a good move, right? I mean, they kind of buckled their knees to the request of all the devs that kind of united behind the QA guys. So good for them. I'm happy for them. But yeah, it's like, oh damn, $20, really? Okay, well.
Yeah. But what were they getting paid before? What were they getting paid?
That's
before?
The point. It's
like,
oh
thing,
shit,
right? It's like, okay,
and
so,
I guess now,
like 17 or 16.
And I guess at least now you could bundle in, well, they're probably getting health insurance and this and that and whatever. So I guess, it's a win overall, I guess.
Yeah, and it's it's a good thing to see, right? You kind of would hope, and the hope is that they do start and then can move up in the company, right? Like they can kind of maybe it opens up some doors for them. But yeah, they they were still a little tricky about it though. I think they were saying like, this is for the people who are not unionizing. I didn't throw it into the rundown this time, but it's something with like, oh, the people that are unionizing, that's a separate thing. So they're being even like little cagey, tricky with this kind of thing. But it's 1,100 people are benefiting, right? That's at least you can say that. The next thing we have on here, Dalan, you're gonna be happy to know this little tidbit, but Horizon Forbidden West is getting a quality of life. Dalan, are you okay over there? If you guys are not watching the video feed, Dalan has been wilding out for the last 2 minutes. So Horizon Forbidden West quality of life, or how Dalan would know it, a new physical couch in your house update.
That was very stressed of you. Thanks for adding the extra terms.
I don't know if it's on wax, but I hope it's.
Let's not worry about it.
I hope it's on wax. Where at some point we said, yeah, these games get quality of life updates, and then it was like, oh, like a new couch. I was like, yes, like a new physical couch in your house. But so Horizon Forbidden West gets a quality of life update for instant pickup of resources, which I think I haven't. I need to go back and play this game. I definitely do. But I think even in the first one, it didn't necessarily do that. Unless you went into
Correct.
the accessibilities, there might have been an option there.
Hell no, there wasn't. You had to pick up each individual resource.
So what it was is that you actually have to go over a resource, and there's a lot because you need a lot of resources in these games, right? They're not that hard to come by, but there's a lot, and you have to like physically press a button and pick each little piece of wood up, right, and each little piece of medicine. So the fact that they updated Horizon Forbidden West to like instant pickup. I want to play this game now. I'm hyped. I'm hyped to go back for this. But what is your thoughts, Dalan? I know you've played it and you, Luis, have played it. Dalan, are you pretty damn hyped about the instant pickups here?
Well, that was a minor thing that apparently changed a lot of people's lives when the game was dropping, or since the game has dropped. Because apparently it's just an irritating feature to not be able to pick up multiple resources at once. I'll tell you what, if I could just run over the resource and just pick it up by running it over, that'd have been great. Yeah. But they literally make you stop and press the button for every single tiny little thing that's there. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I actually did get to the point where my backpack was full and I wanted to choose the resources I was picking up. But damn, just tell me that I'm full. Tell me my backpack's full and I'll start dumping some stuff and then I'll go run over more resources.
Have you tried it with the new update or not yet, Dalan?
I haven't even played the new game.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right. Luis, have you tried?
No spoilers.
Okay, no spoilers.
So what I think this means, I don't think this means what you guys think it means.
No.
I think what it means is that now you don't actually press the button and then completely stop your character's movement, play the animation to pick up, and then you can continue, because that's what happens. I think what it just means is you still have to press the pickup button, but it won't stop your character's movement. So I don't think it's just you running around everywhere and picking stuff up.
That's what I want to happen.
In the middle of a battle, you just run by some enemies, swoop it up, and just keep going.
You might be right, though.
I mean, like it is like the contextual button. Like when you have to go in and like examine the beast that you knock down, and then pick individually. Like, what do I want to pick up, or do I pick up everything?
I pick up everything.
And I think it would be similar for like if you're picking up some herb or whatever. You press the button, and it won't stop your movement, but you won't like just pick up stuff automatically.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we gotta find out, because that's what I want. The way Dalan just animated himself on camera, where he's just running around and picking all the resources up. That's what I want to do. But it might be what you're saying, Liz. It might be what you're saying. I will say I was thinking of the last game that did this. That was really cool of them to do, but you have to go into the accessibilities. Was Last of Us Part 2. They let you auto pick up stuff where normally I think you have to press a button, right? You have to hold the button. They're kind of similar to Horizon, but it's not as much stuff as Horizon. Dude, Horizon, you literally have to be picking crap up all the time, right? Like to keep yourself, kind of enough resources. But yeah, I did a lot of. If you guys ever want to go into some of my trophies, go into the Last of Us 2 trophies. Some of the later trophies I got definitely have like a blue screen because I can identify things faster. I used all the accessibility options to make my trophy hunting a little bit of a smoother experience. So that's for Horizon Forbidden West. This next one, you guys didn't care too much about it. I just thought it was a quick little thing to get us into what you've been playing. But apparently Square Enix has been getting pretty cute about the licenses. Like we said, Dalan, you are really only renting these games. But there was at least one person that noticed, we have the new Chrono Cross remaster, the Radical Dreamers edition that came out. And apparently these licenses are magically expiring. It says they expired in 1969 or something like that, from what I could tell. So they're basically locking you out of like the PlayStation 1. I had actually even forgotten that there was a PlayStation 1 like re-release, just to kind of straight port to Vita and to PS4 maybe, or PS3. But yeah, some of these things you guys gotta watch out for. Probably do the thing that the Nintendo guy did or the Advance War guys did, and don't log into your internet, because apparently you're getting locked out of some of these games because it expired in 1969, because Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross came out in 1969, of course. Going from that into what you've been playing, I finished Chrono Trigger game. I think I did actually. Now, Dalan, are we past the statute of limitations to people should know what happens at the end of the game, or one of the big components of the game? Can we say it? It's been 20 years. 30 years.
It's been 20 years.
It's been 30 years. Okay, for 1 minute, minute, and then I'll just get to like kind of what I'm trying to
do. Well, in this case, you're going back to, talking about the end of Chrono Trigger, which people have should have by now have been
Yeah.
played. But what's being re-released is Chrono Cross.
Yeah.
So don't kill Chrono Cross for
Okay,
people.
no, and
People are still gonna have to go
I'm
back for
hoping no
Chrono
one
Trigger.
kills Chrono Cross for me because I still gotta play through that as
I
well.
will instantly tell you the ending as soon as
How
you're
dare
done
you,
talking.
sir? How dare you, Luis? Do you care about Chrono Trigger and sort of like what happens at the end?
Not at all.
So the namesake of the game, Chrono, he dies at the end. So the hero character, the one that I've been supplying with all these amazing texts and all these amazing like gear, dies. The guy that had one of the gears where it's like gives him 200 extra HP. I should have put it on the princess. I should have put it on the mage or whatever it is. And he dies at the very end. But there is a side quest option that you can bring him back. And that's kind of what I'm working on right now. It's being kind of annoying. I don't know if you remember that there's like a little mini game, Dalan, where you have to do the like, it's a mimicry game. Because in order to bring him back, you actually have to get like a doll of his or something. You get a doll at the fair. Which is, if you guys haven't played the game, you're going through all kinds of periods of time. We're talking about dinosaur era. You're going, and maybe that's why it seems so epic. And what our homie Ricky, right? Maybe that's why he thinks it's such a grand.
Oh, it
adventure,
is.
Which,
sure. And the game makes you deal with the consequences of your actions. If there are actions that you don't take, you're still dealing with the consequences of the actions that you don't take.
And it's also interesting because it's one of those games, and like a lot of games do it, but sometimes you get into battles and they're trying to teach you a lesson, or this guy is that powerful that you can't beat them. So you kind of like, damn, I'm getting my ass kicked. I don't think I can beat this guy. I'm not going to use any items. I'm not going to use whatever because obviously I'm going to get murdered, right? And I did get to a boss that I fought, and I was like, oh, damn, I'm not supposed to beat them. And I died, and the story continued, but I did look it up later, and I was like, wait, you could have beat that boss. You actually could have beat him, but the game will let you continue without having beaten him. So there's a whole bunch of repercussions to your actions, of which I don't want to go back and play through it. It's a fun game. It is a fun game. It's
like if I got trophies, that would be a different story.
Yes, maybe.
I'm not getting trophies.
Maybe. I will say, and I'm pretty much at the end of the game, but my clock says 12 hours, man. I don't know if that's like because of I do a lot of auto battle in it, which is the bosses you can't auto battle, man. You have to kind of strategize and take your time with them, right? But the little like all these little mini fights, and I actually look forward to getting into them because of auto battle, because I'm like, this is gonna be a quick ass fight. I don't have to I just gotta put auto battle and it'll like kind of zoom through them. So that has to have played into it a little bit, right? That it's a 12-hour game so far for me, or do you think it's that short anyways without the auto battle, Dalan?
The use of the strategy guide, but other than that, yeah, it could be a pretty short game.
Yeah. I think yeah, I'm using kind of a guide. I'm trying to do as much as the game will tell me, but there's moments where it doesn't tell you crap, man, and I'm like, I'm not doing this. I'm not like. There's like 7 or 8 time periods. I'm not doing that crap. I'm not going. It's like Deathloop, Lise. It's like a precursor to Deathloop.
No, it's not the same.
No, it's not the same. But you're going back and forth through time, and I'm assuming originally without a guide, you're going through all these damn times, and you're like, nope, that's not it. That's not it. I gotta go. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing that. So guide, what's next? So I would do that. So maybe that's part of it, right? Then that it's like, how long would it be if you fresh run? You're going through the different times, lost it like a motherfucker for a while.
If you do not have a strategy guide, it could take you anywhere between 20 to 30 hours.
I don't want that, dude. I don't want that in my life at all. But it is a nice
but
game.
You don't feel it though. But you don't feel it though because you're not doing it all in one sitting, Carlos.
Oh, I was going hard, man. At some point, I think I don't know if I mentioned it last week, but at some point you get into a zone with the game, right? Like you're like, this is all I can think about. You go to work, you sleep, you whatever, spend time with the family, but you're like, I need to get back to this game. And I was in that zone for Chrono Trigger, and made worse, of course, because it's on the phone and I could just play it wherever. So I think I was definitely...
You played it in the middle of a basketball game.
Actually, we were playing basketball like last week. I was like, Dan, check this out. I'm in the middle of this battle.
And you said, beat this boss for me because I don't know what I'm doing.
At some point, though, I was like, give me this crap, man. You're not going to beat him for me. But Chrono Trigger, definitely, it's like I had mentioned earlier, I do miss the buttons a little bit, but since it's not button heavy, touch controls are okay. Right? They're
Spoiler alert, though, that boss was almost dead by the time I handed it back to you.
No, I still had another few, a good amount of rounds, The strategy
I
was
literally killed the frog guy that was on his shoulder before I handed it back.
The little tiny frog guy, the big guy, was still alive. So there you go, Dalan. But thank you for your help. Chrono Trigger's a nice game. I can see why little what do you call it, impressionable youth that Ricky was and you were as kids, you're like, we're going through time, man. We're going through.
No, that actually wasn't it at all. It was more so the combo battle system. That was a huge thing.
Yeah,
like
it's a lot of good
the
things.
time bar was cool, but that combo system, we played a lot of RPGs during that time, but Chrono Trigger did its own thing. And it made it beautiful.
It's a nice game, dude. It's a nice game, nice rhythm to it. The active time battle it's just nice. It's just nice. This is it's a nice game. Unfortunately, I don't have the context to give it like, oh, this is like the greatest RPG of all time or anything like that. But what I can say, it's a really damn good game. It's a really nice
one of the few RPGs that you actually beat.
And I'm almost there. So I gotta bring back the homie, and I think I have the big ship, right, that I have to take down. But I'm basically there. No spoilers, but I'm basically almost there.
Okay, all right.
We did play a little bit more Dying Light, Dalan. I know you have plenty to say on Dying Light too, right? But you kind of
I have the same thing I keep saying. I will say it again. I hate this game. Every time I play this game, something breaks. I hate it so much. At some point, we had another zombie body that didn't die and it just teed right there in the center of the screen. I think you took another picture of that. There were picturable moments. There was at some point I jumped on a rope and my rope just shot underground and I was like, where is my character? And then I had to jump off the rope and suddenly I was dead on top of some like lava or whatever the toxicity on the ground. It was some BS the way that you could just die in that game for stupid things that shouldn't be happening.
We're not gonna beat it though. We are gonna beat it though, right? We have to.
Oh yeah, we're gonna beat this broken game. Yeah, we'll beat it.
It's nice and wacky. It's I can't like specifically put my finger on it. It's not as good as Dying Light 1, right? Even though
I told you, man.
Even though technically it's a smoother game. I mean, technically in the sense of like the movement. The movement, but
they really did upgrade the free running.
The net code is like so busted, right? It's like, and then
you can lose connection. You're gone suddenly,
and only the host gets progress. It's all kind of because the original one you could do progress. I had the power surge and all that, but other than that, I think you kind of
up until that point, you also were getting progress.
Yeah.
But then the power surge happened, your progress is gone, and you were like, all right, I'm just going to keep playing with Dalan until we hit the end of the game. And then we hit the end of the game, and they were like, no, you guys can't be together. And that scared the heck out of us.
I was a little scared, dude, because I was like, I will not see the end of this game if I am not powerful enough to go my own way and still be able to see the end. But
I am wondering if they're going to do that with this game.
Well, but I mean, we're both kind of equally powered this time. I hope no power surge. I'm going to check that my cloud save is up there, so I got to make sure after this podcast is recorded that my cloud save is up there first and foremost.
Hey, this game has a good amount of Rosario Dawson in it too.
It does. It really does. I appreciate that. Dalan, what else you been playing, man? Besides some Dying Light 2.
Outside of that, I hadn't really had a lot of time to play too many video games, but I did take the moment to go back to PSVR because I found out that Beat Saber had a couple extra songs that got added to it. So
For free, right?
I know. Yeah, there was some free songs that were added to it, and the color of the blocks is stupid because now they're like gray and off gray, so you can't tell which one is which when it's coming at you too fast, and that's an irritating.
I think you might have messed with the settings in a way. I played the new.
You could
song.
change that too.
Yeah, and you could change it. So I don't know. You might have done something weird. You might have customized.
No, it depends. It depends on the songs that you're playing because some of them have their own themes to them, and it'll change the color of the blocks.
Yeah,
and
but you can override it. Is what I'm saying. Like,
okay, I didn't know that.
There's an option where you can override it. So you must have done something wacky. Because I didn't.
No, I didn't override it. That's the thing.
Because I played the new songs too, and with the new notes, they did add new notes, which is kind of interesting. What did you think of the new like drag notes? So you hit the block and then you drag into.
I had to get used to that really fast because I'm so used to just swinging.
Yeah,
You can't just swing anymore. You got to be able to drag and then swing with your other arm and then drag again. It's an interesting step in the right direction to update the game.
Yeah.
And then I also played some Pistol Whip, and that game is just as tiring as it was the first time I played it. But they changed the layout and actually added more free songs to that. So I do advise going back to play that as well, Carlos.
That
But
game is
all
way
in
more
all,
tiring than Beat Saber. Well, they both are, but I think
no, Whip's this
Pistol
was
Whip.
way more tiring.
Yeah, I think Pistol Whip because you have to make so many like sharp. Like you better be up and like
No,
quick with the
you
sharps
gotta
or whatever.
literally move
Yeah,
your body for Pistol Whip.
yeah.
But my thing that I was gonna even bring up in the first place is that I was playing it with a couple of friends, and I forgot how dizzying the PSVR was.
Oh,
People were getting
oh,
dizzy
I didn't
real
forget.
fast.
Trust me,
Don't think.
as I brought up before on this podcast, Dylan, when we played Far Point, I remember you falling, and I could hear it in the mic, and I could hear like a whoa, I'm like there goes Dalen, there goes
Carlos,
Dalen.
I gotta go. I gotta go.
Yeah, I remember something like that. Is that what was going on? He's like, I gotta go, and I was like, that guy is gone now, and all I see is his character pointing up or doing some kind of weird thing. I was like, Dalen is gone now. He is not my co-op partner in PSVR anymore. But yeah, it's cool to see Beat Saber that they keep updating the game. The only thing I wish that they did is these new notes. I wish they would kind of bring them across the board, right? Like even with the 360 stuff that they added, they didn't add the 360 to a whole bunch of like other DLC songs and all these. They just kind of like updated the new notes with the new songs, and they kind of don't go across the board, right? Which I understand it's a lot of work, right? But it would be kind of nice to kind of have that option, right? That the new notes are across other songs. Luis, what else? What have you been playing, sir? I know me and Dalen kind of went off there, but what have you been up to?
Pretty much same as last week with a few games sprinkled in, but the two that I've been playing the most are working my way through Pokemon still. Um, I got the last boss I played was satisfyingly and surprisingly challenging compared to the other one, so that was a nice little kind of twist they threw my way, I guess. I feel like I'm pretty damn close to the end now, though. So now I'm queuing up whatever other game is in that stack of games that I bought during
Maybe you finally
I
get
think it was
around to
Black
Guardians of
Friday.
the Galaxy. Maybe you finally get
Yeah, we'll
around to that.
see. We'll see. Maybe Guardians.
What's
And
the
then
what's the
GTA
game
Online.
time? What's the game time on Pokemon Arceus? Because I do have that in my backlog, but I feel like it's yet another Pokemon game I never go back to and finish. At this point, what's the
You,
game time here?
I don't know. I haven't checked it, but it doesn't feel like I can't have been played more than like 20 hours.
Okay,
It's probably closer to 15,
okay,
honestly.
okay. That's what I'm about. Because I just Chrono Cross is like a
That's
12-hour
about.
mark. A
And
12-hour
actually, a
mark.
lot of my time was spent with side quests too. Like I was cleaning up the map from side quests. So if you just critical path, I'm sure you could finish it
But I
pretty
think I
quick.
was trying to critical back. Maybe that's what was stopping me a little bit because at some point you do have to like stop and level up enough or have enough things,
Oh yeah,
or
if you like
right.
want access to a
Yeah.
specific area, like you need to be a specific level.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess there's that.
Okay.
So
But
maybe the
that's
side quest helped me with that because I was exploring more.
yeah. So I might. Yeah. I don't know, man. I feel like it's gonna be another
If you
Pokemon
didn't like the
game
last
by.
one, I don't think you have any reason to finish this one.
Yeah. I kind of
But
want to,
but it
but
is my favorite open world that they've done so far. So
okay. And they it's a pretty fresh take on it, right? It's not
hmm
kind of the same old. It's just 3Dified, but the same old 2D stuff, right? The same 2D battles.
hmm
And what else, Luis? You been up to? What else you been playing?
a little more GTA Online. Now that I
Okay.
got a GTA Plus, I'm out
Okay.
there chilling with my free stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, I got a new car. I got a free upgrade for that car and how special works. So I'm out there doing stuff. Got my free 500K,
Yeah, I was about
doing
to say I
things.
forgot to pick up my free $1 million this month. I gotta go
It's
do that.
over, dude. It's over.
Oh,
It
they're
was
not doing
only
that
up
no
until
more.
I
it
was
was
gonna
only
say,
up
I think.
until they launched the
Yeah.
the PS5
Ah,
version. So it's gone, man.
ah.
It's gone.
There you go, Dalen. But there's always
And
Destiny.
it does seem like there are less griefers online right now. Like griefers are people that just kill you when you're trying to like do a cell mission for no reason and then just like move
No,
on with their lives.
you just call those
So
griefers. I call those interrupters and assholes.
I
So
mean,
well, that's the
I mean,
terminology in GTA,
it's
griefers.
okay.
most widely known across the board in gaming, Dalen. That griefers, man. I
There
mean,
you go.
you can call it whatever you want, Dalen, but the
No,
real
I get
gamers
it.
out
I
there.
get it.
So
But
yeah, I'm getting a lot more quote unquote work done because I don't feel as like I don't know what you would call it,
Like
like
you're
scared
grinding.
to do sell missions. Like I'm like I could sell this stock, but it's
Yeah.
probably gonna get blown up right now if I try to do anything. Like right now, I'm just like nobody's messing with me. I don't know if they like see, oh, that guy's got GTA Plus. I can't touch him.
Now, could that be that because you said when you upgraded or when you transferred your character, you're only playing with PS5 people now, right? At the moment.
What was it
Or
saying before PS4 people? I mean, there's a lot
oh,
of maybe something that has to do with it is either because it gives you two options. Do you want to start a new character and they
mhm.
give you like the 4 million boost to get started? Or it could just be people because it's free and they have a PS5 and they never played the PS4 version, they're starting fresh because there's a lot of people that are like below level 15 or 20 that are like
Maybe
in
that's
the
what it is.
lobbies.
They have to grow up to be assholes, man.
Yeah,
No one just
I don't think they're
is.
quite there yet.
Yeah, they don't. People don't start out assholes. They learn it. They grow into that role. So we got on the zinger here. The last thing we're gonna mention is that did someone press a button? Something happened here.
Dalen streaming
Dalen,
something
what
for
are you
some
doing,
reason.
man? Get that off the screen, Dalen. What are we
Hey,
doing here?
no, pick up the stream.
Dalen, what's going on here, man? Take that off of there, Dalen. What's going on here?
All right, fine.
We'll talk. But Dale, you're gonna have a talking to, man. We're gonna have a talking to after this podcast. All right. People are like, damn, they're gonna have a talking to with Dalen. It's like, yes, we will. Yes, we will. So the thing we have on here, the sus word has finally showed up on Jeopardy. So Among Us is part of the general population lexicon or whatever you call it. But the word, the card or whatever you call it, the question that shows up on Jeopardy was saying it's a slang adjective for someone you think is not what they seem, especially if they might be the imposter in the game Among Us. So closer, the answer would be what? What is sus? I guess is how you answer in Jeopardy. So hey, sus is out there. I've been using sus for a while. If anything, I've been saying that to my daughter for a good while since the game's been out. I was like, I'm feeling like you're a little sus right now. Is this a big deal, Dalen? Is this a big deal that it's on Jeopardy now? That even Jeopardy folk know about sus now?
I think it's more so the fact that we're destroying the English language, and just slowly, we're destroying the English language.
slow death.
out there
It's a
being
slow death.
grievers,
It's a slow
griefers.
Dalen, griefers is not a new term though.
I,
I like
I
that it's new
understand
to
it's
you.
not a new term. I understand it's not a new term. My point being is that it has become a term.
I hate you so much sometimes. Luis,
You go ahead, hey.
Luis, is this a big deal? The fact that sus is out here on Jeopardy now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think back a few years ago where like, playing video games and being into that sort of culture was like very sort of nerdy and looked down upon, I guess, in a sense. And now it's all
Standard
like,
nerd.
and now it's more pop culture, right? Like if it's on Jeopardy,
Yeah,
then it's
right.
and it's part of the U.S. lexicon. Even if we were destroying the language, which I'm cool with that. But
I'm cool
We'll
with
burn it
destroying
all
the
down.
English language.
We'll
It's
burn it all
fine.
down. Dalen, I love
yeah,
writing and stuff, and I love burning the language down. People actually be like, "Why? Look, I read your writing, and it's different like than when you speak." I was like, "Oh, because I'm destroying it actively when I speak. When I write it, I kind of have some respect for the language, I suppose, when I'm writing. But when I'm speaking, there is destruction to be had. And that's it for this podcast. We'll destroy this podcast real quick after you listen to it. Please, to what do they do in the Bond stuff or the Mission Impossible movies after listening to this?
Self-destruct.
This message will self-destruct after you guys listen to it. Carlos Macias, the Master of Ceremonies or Arms or whatever Dalen wants to call me this week on this podcast. Salient Point 64. We're on 64. Dalen Kirkwood from up in the mountains, thank you for joining me again, sir.
I hate you so much.
Thank you. I'll take that as a medal of accomplishment or
That's a
honor or
term of
whatever.
endearment.
Term
I
of
hate you so
endearment.
much.
And Luis Wills Steele Mendez, thank you for joining me again, sir.
you already know.
We'll see you guys next time. Hey, be out there not being sus, okay? If someone's calling you sus
Or griefing.
that's newer though.
Griefing.
Apparently, that's really new. To Dalen, it's new. No, he doesn't know griefing.